For this sermon, it is a Christmas special. Thank you. We will have not one, not two, not four, or five. We will have 3 speakers today. They will all have a theme. Oh, thanks, Elisa. It will be the Christmas past and present and future. So, if we'd like to warmly welcome up our spirit of the past, Tara.
Let's see how this goes. Okay. So, I was, to be honest, I really had a hard time figuring out what to talk about. But I was just trying to go back to what I would change as a kid, or what I would do differently if I could relive my childhood. And one aspect of myself really I would change is the kind of view I had in the world and view I had on other people. I right now just see it as a really, really big flaw in my character as a kid, and it really affects my daily life and just the way I interact with people. So because of how close I was in a church, and really, you guys were my only, not my only friends, but I really no. But I would see you guys and be like, yo, you guys are the only people I would trust myself with and invest my relationships with. And then with everyone else outside the church, I'd be like, nah, you guys are you're not worth it. You're not worth my time. And that's no. So I'm going to be talking about things not to do. I'm not to act right now. It was just the way I was living was so unhealthy. It's just thinking that everyone in church was good and then everyone else was evil, and I must stay away from them at all costs. Just just minimal interaction. I don't know. Just how why was I so narrow-minded and what the heck? Why do I think I was better than everyone else? Oh my god, what the heck? With this mentality, I guess I was only using people I called friends, just to seem less like a loser in school. You just befriend people, be you just hang around with them, but you wouldn't go deeper. I wouldn't actually invest into them, just to be seem less of a loser in school because you don't have any friends, and that. In a way, I didn't deserve to have friends because they trusted me. They wanted to be friends with me, but I didn't really want to be friends with them the same way. I didn't see them in the long term. I didn't see them after school. I just didn't envision them after school. Just seeing them as temporary friends, and right now, I just frown upon that mentality. Just because if I see someone else being yo, I'm only using them, they're only friends, I won't be friends with them in the future, I would frown upon them. I would frown upon anyone who does that. And there's me just being a hypocrite and being I just one key lesson I would take that from that is just to really dig deeper into your life and really evaluate your actions, evaluate what you're doing, evaluate I don't know, just the mindset that you're having, just to shift the way that you look at things, because it can really change things. It can really open up your mind, and it's I wasn't protecting myself, because you think distancing yourself from people outside the church, you're protecting yourself from evil, whatever. But in a way, you're just preventing yourself from meeting good people, meeting genuinely good people who just act good naturally, well, we're here, like we're made aware to, open up our hearts and just to dig deeper. But these are people are doing naturally, and I'm preventing myself from meeting these people. So yeah, when I finished school, it was like I was able to let go of these temporary friends and just return back to my own bubble, my own comfortable bubble, and be like, to finally take a deep breath. I'm safe. I'm like, it's so sad. I know. It was just like so unhealthy. So like, if you're sort of the same, if you think the same way that I do, then that's just, yeah, don't. Like being in the church does not mean that you're better than people, better than others. For me, being in the church should mean that you have an easier way to understand yourself, to grow. You're just surrounded by more people to help you grow and to help you evaluate your life better and to make better choices. It does not mean that you're chosen or you're special or God, I don't know, just brought you to this earth for, I don't know, just to be special ever. We're here just to spread. We're here to help others, basically, to help others grow and to whatever, discover their potential. Yeah. Yeah. So learning from my past is teaching me that I need to have more faith and trust in people. So sometimes, yeah, give them the benefit of the doubt. If they're being mean to you, if you don't get along with them, don't distance yourself. Don't feel like you can never be friends with them. Always give them chances. Always give them, I don't know, just stick with them. See what you can work with. And don't see yourself as some better person, as if they're less valuable, because God created everyone with the same heart, the same, like he created you with the same loving heart as the next person, and does not love you more than, I don't know, the person down the street. So yeah, I just encourage you guys just to think more openly and just give people more chances and let them into your life a bit more and trust people more. Like people down the street, like, I don't know, you see someone on the street, you can't instantly think that they're like a murderer, like whatever, they're a thief or they're some kind of, I don't know, crazy person. Because you'd be surprised, because I've met many people who, I'm just surprised by how loving they are, how caring they are. But I always think about the future and the relationships I've made and have right now, and if I see them in the future, if I see them being in my life, and if you completely avoid everyone, if you completely like throw everyone out of your life, you'll be left with no one. And I'd just like to think about the possibilities of them being in your life in the future. And what if they need you? What if you're that one person that they need at one certain time and you're not there? What if, I don't know, what if you need them and they're not there? I don't know. I think it's just better to branch out to other people, to more people, because we can all thrive off each other. We can all just live. I don't know. Just nurture your relationships. Basically, I'm trying to say. Because they might need you and you might need them. And yeah, don't take anyone for granted and humble yourself. Or else you will feel lonely, you will lose friends, because they will see through that. They'll see your mentality. They can sense that you're using them, that you don't have the right attitude in the friendship. They think that you're just using them, basically. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Of course, like care for each other here, nurturing relationships here, but don't abandon everyone else outside the church. Because we are here, but we have a tool here to develop ourselves, develop our character. And the only reason we're here is to spread it with others, to help others. So, anyway, what I'm trying to say basically is because I felt like, okay, I felt lonely because I've completely thrown people out of my life. And they've moved on. Don't feel like they don't, I don't know. I'm just struggling, but like, humble yourself, please. Please don't think you're anything better. Yeah, I think I'm just repeating myself. And yeah, that's just a little message. That's it.
Thank you, spirit of the past. No, she made some really good points concerning also growing up, because I know we also talk about like outside is evil, but she said one thing that I thought was really good, that sometimes we think we're protecting ourselves against certain things, but we're actually preventing ourselves to grow by keeping ourselves in that bubble. And I think that was really good, and it deserves another round of applause. What's that knocking on our door? I think it's the spirit of the present. Let's welcome up Daniel.
I'm not texting on my phone, I just have notes on my phone. Okay, so yes, the present. I'll break this up into two sections. So the first section, I'll start off by asking, who are you today? Like, there is a gazillion amount of aspects that happened in your past that make up who you are today. There's situations, there's people, there's events, like who you are today. And it's impossible to like know everything that made you who you are today. Like there's so many events that subconsciously changed how you think. And yeah, so I guess one thing that helps, so obviously, like, I think it's important to be very grateful. Gratitude is kind of is like what I'll talk about for the first part. Gratitude is very important. It's kind of, you got to be grateful for the different aspects that happened in your life that made you who you are today. Good and bad as well. There's the bad aspects, bad things that happen in your life. Like, I don't know, someone, a close friend that you thought you had just leaves you, and then all of a sudden you're like, damn, that kind of sucks. But, you know, there's like, you can learn from that. There's lessons you can learn from that. Like for me, okay, like for me, like when I'm running, like obviously I get injured a lot, which kind of sucks, but it's important to learn from that. Like I'm always learning from my injuries, and injury is kind of like when I get injured, it just makes me like, it almost like makes me love the sport more in a way, because when I get back into it, when I get better again, I'm way more grateful for like having a functioning body. Because, you know, when you see people in wheelchairs sometimes, I usually think like, I'm really grateful that I can at least just walk, you know, like some like really simple things like that. I find is like really, it's a lot of things that we take for gratitude, we take for granted. Like we take a lot of those things for granted. And I think, yeah, so like this whole gratitude thing started when I was doing a senior workshop, I think 3 years ago, and it was one of the creative groups. We went hiking, and the leader basically got us to take a rock. You find a rock, put it in your pocket, and then whenever you touch that rock by an accident or thought about the rock, you had to think about one thing that you were grateful for. And like, obviously this went on for the duration of the hike, but then I kind of kept it up for the rest of the workshop. And like, it got to the point where, like, even when the workshop ended, obviously I left the rock in Camberg. I don't know where it is now. But even afterwards, I kept doing this myself months after the workshop. And like at this point now, I can't think of one thing that I haven't already thought of that I was grateful for. Like I feel like there's probably more, but like I really am truly grateful for a lot of different things that happened in my past. And yeah, I think it's important to acknowledge the good and the bad aspects that make you are today and be grateful for them. Yeah, so the second part, it'll be talking about kind of, I guess, a word of advice to help with your like everyday decisions now. It's kind of going to be based around regret. So obviously, everybody regrets something in their life, multiple things probably. You can regret doing something, or you can regret like not doing something. And I think the main regret that people usually have is you regret not doing something, because like you'd rarely do something, like you'd rarely like go out with friends. You come home and you're like, damn, I really wish I didn't go out with them. Usually it's like if you don't go out with your friends, you're at home all alone. You're like, man, I wish I went out with my friends. That's usually the kind of regret that people have. And I know once there was, I guess it was a study in a way, but this kind of person went to old people on their deathbed and he asked them one question: what do you regret in your life? And I think roughly about like 90% plus of the answers were the old people would answer, it's stuff that they didn't do. They didn't take opportunities when they came. They didn't, it's everything. It was what they didn't do, and it's not what they actually did. So I kind of, for the last couple of years, I always had this mindset now when I'm kind of making decisions, kind of ask myself, when it's over, will I regret it or not? So like, it's a small example, but like one year, I didn't go to a workshop at all over the summer. I just kind of like didn't do much over the summer, to be honest with you. So and like afterwards and stuff, I think like Brendan and Viviana went to a workshop or whatever, and I just kind of hung out and didn't do anything. And like when they came back and they were like telling me about the workshop, I was like, damn, I really wish I went to a workshop, because like what I did at home was definitely not more fulfilling than going to a workshop. So it's a small example, but yeah, so like I kind of, whenever opportunities come, it's always that yes or no decision. Do I do it or do I don't? And I think even if there's small examples, there are also big life decisions, but yeah, I think it's important to kind of ask yourself and try to take the opportunity. Whenever you get an opportunity, you should try to really look and ask yourself, will you regret this in the future? Because yeah, when you're old, it'd be great if you could not have any regrets. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. Spirit of the present. Some really good points made about gratitude and regret. And I think it was also like good to talk about regret in not necessarily like a negative light, more like to push you to grow and things. And also these talks and these points, they're not just for today. We're coming to the new year and it's a time to reflect. And it's always really, I think sometimes, so I'm going to go on a bit of a tangent, but like, you can go deep and grow any point in your life if you want to. And these points you can think about and take to heart and grow yourself and become better now. It doesn't have to be in a workshop, it doesn't have to be another time. And you can take that opportunity now with these points, even if you just take one thing and really think about it. So maybe you can try that. Try take one thing from the talks and actually think about it later by yourself. Is the window open? I think something came in. It's the spirit of the future. Let's welcome up David.
So, I was asked to speak as if I was the ghost of Christmas future. And if anyone, of just the spirit of future, But basically, if anyone's watched any of the Christmas Carol stuff, the way it usually goes, it goes, hello, insert protagonist. I'm going to show you a horrible future where everything you touch fails. And then I realized that reflects a lot of my life. I deal with failure a lot. And especially as it's come up to New Year's, I start looking at this year. And I just looking at it, and I'm just going through memory after memory going, wait, I failed in that, and that too, and also that. But do I find this year has gone well for me? And I was just like, yeah, it has. So what did I do? What is it that's allowed me to basically deal with failure? Because the more I thought about failure, the more I realized it depends what you define it as failure. And I realized that probably the reason why it isn't so much of a bad thing for me to screw up, to mess up, to stumble, is to not stop trying, to not stop engaging. And especially with New Year's resolutions, which is going to be happening at some point, or when you start something new. Because in the future, in next year and itself, everyone's going to face new challenges. Everyone's going to start something new, start moving on to a new phase in life. And really, the only time we fail is when we stop engaging with it, when we stop pushing ourselves, when we sort of look at the thing and put down that burden, whether it be a new hobby, a new job, like improving yourself. And it's one of those things where we also need to sort of focus on what failure is, or what it is in of itself. I'll sort of tell a small story. I started a job earlier this year, and I finished up a job where I was working there for 4 years in Ireland in itself. I knew nearly anything that could be thrown at me in that job. So basically, you gave me anything, no matter, like, literally, it could be the weirdest thing possible that you could possibly given me professionally, but I'd be able to run with it because I knew the environment, I knew how to talk to you and whatnot. When you start a new job, you start a new school, everything's new. You know nothing. And that means you will fail a lot because you just simply don't have the knowledge. And it's one of those things where you just have to keep picking yourself up again and again and again and again. And I remember there was, like, I think 4 months into the job, someone new had started as well. And I was given this person to take care of. Eventually, by the end of my time there, I was taking care of like 5 other people. I referred to them as my children. They would call me on the weekends to ask me questions and stuff. So, but anyway, the thing was, when I was given this person, I was like, why me? Why give this person to me? I know nothing. I've failed. I can list off everything that I've done wrong. Like and I found many creative ways to fail over that period of time, including the simple thing of just not plugging it in. And there was this moment where they were struggling with it, and they were asked me basically, hey, how do you do this? And I was like, oh, it's very simple. And then proceeded for 30 minutes to go through every single process and explain why this process exists. Because I have failed in every possible way and seen every way it breaks, and a couple more that no one else had seen. Like, I managed to take out the whole lab because of, like, literally, like, we're talking 15 computers and a bunch of thousands of euros of equipment hooked up to it. I managed to take it all down because I found a bug that caused a power surge and yada, yada, yada. So they hadn't fixed that yet, so I had to warn everyone that came after me about it. And then the person just looked at me, because I think at the beginning I'm like, I don't really know, but here's what I do know. And just sort of, it was a very much like, look at what you've done in of itself. And it was in that moment I realized that basically when it comes to a lot of things in life, success is just a mountain of failures that allows you to just sort of get to your next spot. Like, whether it be like it really, the fact is, when I start reflecting on the fact is, if you learn a new instrument, you suck so much for so long. And it's only just because of the fact that, like, after months and months and months and months of just being like making the noises of like a cat dying, you manage to come out where you're able to strum a couple of chords and be able to sing a song in of itself. And the fact is, I start looking at every aspect. Like the fact is, for example, like Dan and I ran for a long time, and as much as I joke going like the McCanns are superhuman, super perfect, everything like that, you guys work really hard. Like you train like sort of nearly every day in of itself. You really push yourselves. And from like talking to Dan, like he injures himself quite a lot, which is a failure to sort of, whether it be to listen to your body and whatnot. And every sort of success you will have in life is built on smaller failures. So, and it was one of those things where I started thinking about basically how I tended to deal with it, because that realization happened 3 months into a job where I was just constantly hitting these walls again and again and again and again, with the expectation of myself and also some of the people I worked with that I needed to get this thing perfect every single time. And I realized that quite often it was pride. Like it's one thing where pride in of itself allows you to persevere to, or confidence to try new things and go forward, but also too much of it can hold you up to a higher standard that you're able to fulfill, or even the fact is will stop you from trying to do things, because it's one of those things where, because you're so scared, you're so mortified that you won't reach the standard of, whether it be, for example, if we move it back to a music type sense, not performing in front of people because you haven't practiced in a period of time, because you know that you can't meet that standard you have in your head, or not participating in something because you can't be this person that you knew you could be in the past, but you're not so sure now, and you want to keep that standard. And like it's one of those things where I haven't really figured out that balance just yet, but it's somewhere, there's a sweet spot between having sort of like too much or too little confidence, because like either side of that spectrum, it's really like, it is a weight on you when you go through any other challenge you have in life. And you need to find that middle point for yourself. You need to have enough confidence to try new things. You need to have enough pride for the fact is that you will always strive to be the best you can possibly be, but not too much where the fact that your whole identity is built around having a certain standard. And as always, just because you've been doing something for X amount of time and whatnot, you need to also be willing to listen, to really be able to grow. Because I think nearly every realization, any decent realization I've had, is from listening to someone else or just viewing something slightly different. And there's I remember I gave a Sunday service ages ago, and it was all because of this one moment where I was walking to work, and I was just in one of those weird places in life where you're just sort of like, I shouldn't be complaining, but I'm kind of unhappy where I am. Like, I have no idea how to explain it. And I was walking to work, and there was just this bumblebee, just walking around in the path, like in a circle. And I think it was even stuck in some probably like dried soft drink or something like that. And I remember bending down, picking it up, and just sort of like any other day, I would have walked on by it. And it completely changed my focus on it, where the fact is I understood, like in that moment, like I realized how fragile its life was. And the fact is, if I could do this one small act of kindness, it would have validated all the crap I've had to deal with up to this point. And I got to look at life slightly differently, where the fact is all these things I was moaning and complaining about, and like these failures that were so big and whatnot, I realized that quite often, if you just persevere and you keep moving forward, you will find the moment you need to grow, to be able to, like, there's a constant thing of where you will always hit a point in life where things suck. It's just statistics. Things cannot stay good forever, but the main thing that I want, if you're not to take anything else from what I said, things don't stay bad forever. Like, statistically, it's impossible. Like, it's one of the things where, like, and the fact is, especially we have free will, and we have communities and people that care about us that want us to get to a better place. And in that moment, it was a small bee on the side of the road that allowed me to do that. So in your future, remember that when you mess up, it's just another sort of step towards you actually succeeding at it. So just keep at it, and keep an eye out for life and the honeybees along the way. So thank you.
That was a very strong closing from our spirit from the future. And if I know anyone to fail, it's David. And if I know he's the king of comebacks as well. So it's words from someone with experience.